I'm speaking to you. To you who have walked 1,000 paths, who have read the mountain of books, who have attended the seminars, who have meditated for countless hours, always searching. I'm speaking to you, who know the spark of hope that precedes each new technique and the subtle, familiar disappointment that follows when, after the initial enthusiasm, you find yourself back in the same place, with yourself. Above all, I'm speaking to you, who are tired of searching, tired of feeling that you are always missing one piece, one lesson, one final initiation, to at last arrive. The spiritual search is the most cunning labyrinth ever created. It promises you an exit at the end of the hallway, but every hallway leads to another. Every answer generates a new question. It is a horizon that recedes as you advance. Allow me to tell you something your soul already knows, but your mind has forgotten. This audiobook is not a new stop on your search. It is the final station. Because you are about to discover that the treasure you have been chasing with so much effort all over the world has always been in the one place you didn't think to look. It is not in a new technique, nor in a new teacher, nor in a future state of enlightenment. It is here, now. It is you. Prepare yourself, not to learn something new, but to remember what you have always been. The game is about to end. If these words resonate in the depths of your being, and you feel that this is the message you have been waiting for, join us. Like this video as a sign that you are ready to end the search, and subscribe to begin the journey back to yourself. Chapter 1. The Game You Can't Win. The Trap of the Spiritual Search. The search has been your companion for a long time. It is a noble thirst, a sacred yearning. It is the voice inside you that whispers, there must be something more than the surface of daily life. And that voice has led you to wonderful places. It has led you to books, to teachers, to practices that have opened your mind and your heart. You have been presented with a map, a game with seemingly clear rules. You were told, if you meditate enough, you will find peace. If you practice gratitude, you will attract abundance. If you heal your traumas, you will achieve wholeness. If you raise your vibration, you will manifest your desires. The spiritual life was presented to you as a ladder, a series of achievements and states you had to reach to one day, finally graduate, to arrive. And you have played the game with admirable sincerity. You have struggled, you have striven, you have tried to be a good spiritual student. But if you are honest with yourself, isn't there a persistent feeling of exhaustion? Don't you feel that, despite all your efforts, the finish line seems to recede as you advance? The fundamental revelation, the one that initiates the true awakening, is this. The spiritual game is a trap, precisely because it seems like a game you can win. It is the ego's most subtle and sophisticated trap, and it works through 3 invisible mechanisms. The first is the constantly receding horizon. The game is designed to be endless. The moment you master one technique, another is presented to you, more advanced, more powerful. When you reach a state of peace, you are told that you must now seek a state of ecstasy. When you heal one wound, you discover 10 more beneath it. The search becomes its own justification, a journey without a destination that keeps you perpetually in the role of the seeker, always one step away from arrival. It is a race toward a horizon that, by its very nature, can never be reached. The second mechanism is that the search reinforces the belief in lack. The very act of searching sends a powerful and constant message to your subconscious. The message is, I am not whole. I am lacking something. I need something from the outside to be complete. Every time you sit to meditate with the goal of finding peace, you are reinforcing the underlying belief that you are not at peace right now. Every time you try to attract abundance, you are declaring from a place of scarcity. You become an expert in the practice of being incomplete. The game requires you to identify as a flawed player in order to keep playing, and so, without realizing it, your spiritual practice becomes the constant affirmation of your own inadequacy. The third mechanism, the most cunning of all, is that the game is simply the ego in a spiritual disguise. The ego is that sense of a separate I that needs to improve, that needs to win, that needs to be special. In the material world, the ego seeks more money, more status, more recognition. In the spiritual world, it simply changes its goals. It seeks to be more enlightened, more conscious, more evolved than others. It seeks to have deeper mystical experiences, a higher understanding. But the underlying mechanism is the same: comparison, achievement, and the construction of an identity. The ego has simply put on a robe and learned to speak in a language of peace and love, but its game is still one of separation. So, are you condemned to search forever in this labyrinth? No, because sometimes in the middle of the game, a glitch in the system occurs, an anomaly. Perhaps it has happened to you. After a week of forced meditation with no results, you give up. Frustrated, you stop the practice and go to wash the dishes. And there, in the middle of the soapy water, seeking nothing, expecting nothing, a wave of immense and unconditional peace completely floods you. Or perhaps after months of trying to manifest a solution to a problem, you give up. You surrender. And the next day, in a casual conversation, the perfect solution appears without you having looked for it. These moments are glitches in the matrix of the game. They are instants in which, out of sheer exhaustion or surrender, you stop searching. And in the precise instant that you stop searching, you discover that the thing you were searching for was already there, patiently waiting beneath the noise of your effort. Peace is not something that is achieved. It is what remains when the effort ceases. Clarity is not something that is found. It is what emerges when the search stops. Practice, dropping the game pieces. This practice is not about learning a new technique. It is about starting to unlearn. Exercise 1. The Seeker's Inventory. Take your journal. Be brutally honest. Make a list of all the things you are doing at this moment in your life to try to arrive at a better state or to fix yourself. What books are you reading on how to be happier or more successful? What podcasts or videos are you consuming to get the next key insight? What meditation, visualization, or manifestation techniques are you practicing? What image of a future enlightened self are you chasing? There is no judgment in this. Simply look at the list, observe the seeker's arsenal of tools, feel the weight, the effort, the complexity of it all. Now, ask yourself a question. And what if, just for today, I didn't need any of this? What if, just for today, I were already whole, right here, right now? Don't try to believe it. Just play with the possibility. Exercise 2. The permission to be here. This is the central practice of this chapter. It is an anti-practice. For the next few days, schedule 5 minutes in your calendar. Call this time the permission. Sit in silence. And instead of trying to reach a state of calm, of emptiness, or of high vibration, your only instruction is to give yourself unconditional permission to feel exactly what you are feeling in that moment. If there is anxiety, say inwardly, "Anxiety, you have permission to be here. For these 5 minutes, I will not try to fix you or get rid of you." Feel the anxiety in your body. If there is boredom, say, "Boredom, I welcome you. You are welcome to stay." If there is confusion, you have all the space you need. Instead of treating your internal states as enemies to be conquered, treat them like guests to whom you offer hospitality. By ceasing to fight against the present moment, an alchemy happens. You discover a peace that is not the opposite of anxiety, but the underlying space that can hold anxiety without being disturbed by it. The spiritual game is a trap because its only rule is that you keep searching. It keeps you focused on a future of fulfillment, preventing you from discovering the fulfillment that already resides in the now. The only way to win is to realize you are never playing for a prize because you already are the prize. The only way to win is to drop the game pieces, get up from the board, and leave the game. Chapter 2. The Wave in Search of the Ocean. The Illusion of the Separate Self. If the game of the spiritual search is an illusion, as we have seen, then we must ask ourselves the most important question of all. Who exactly is the one who has been playing? Who is this I that feels incomplete, separate, and so desperately in need of searching? To answer this, we must examine the anatomy of the seeker. The seeker is that feeling you have of being a separate and autonomous entity, enclosed within your skin. It is the consciousness that says I. This I is built from the bricks of your history, your name, your memories, the roles you play, parent, child, professional, friend, the beliefs you have adopted, and the shape of your body. It creates a border, a dividing line between me in here and everything else out there. This feeling of being a separate self is not a mistake. It is a necessary tool for navigating the three-dimensional world. It is the character your consciousness plays in order to have a human experience. But the problem arises when the actor forgets they are in a play and begins to believe they are the character. When consciousness completely identifies with the I, it forgets its true nature, and it is from this forgetting that all suffering and all searching are born. To understand this, let's use a metaphor. Imagine you are a wave in the vastness of the ocean. You have a unique shape, a height, a speed. You are born at one moment. You travel across the surface of the water, and you know that eventually you will reach the shore and dissolve. From your perspective as a wave, you are an individual, temporary and fragile entity. You see the other waves around you, some larger, some smaller, and you compare yourself to them. And above all, you look at the immensity of the ocean that sustains you with a mixture of awe and terror. You feel that you are something separate from it. In your fragility, you might develop a spiritual ambition. You say, I am just a wave, but I aspire to become the ocean. If only I could unite with that immensity, I would find the peace, security, and power that I lack. And so, the wave begins its search. It tries to meditate to become more oceanic. It reads books about the nature of water. It tries to be a bigger, stronger, more perfect wave, hoping that if it strives enough, one day it will be worthy of merging with the ocean. Do you see the subtle and tragic absurdity of this search? The wave cannot join the ocean for one simple and overwhelming reason. It has never been separate from it. It is not made of a different substance than the ocean. Its very being, its essence, every molecule that composes it, is and always has been pure ocean. The individuality of the wave is not a separation. It is simply the way the ocean is expressing itself in that place and at that moment. The awakening for the wave is not about performing a heroic feat to become the ocean. It consists of a simple and silent act of recognition. The moment the wave realizes, the substance I am made of is the same substance as everything around me. My form is temporary, but my essence is eternal. I am the ocean experiencing itself as a wave. In the instant of that realization, everything changes. The fear of death, of dissolving on the shore, disappears. How can the ocean be afraid of returning to the ocean? The competition with the other waves vanishes. How can the ocean compete with itself? The desperate search for union stops, because it realizes that union is already an undeniable fact. Now the wave is free to fully enjoy its unique journey, free to dance, to shine under the sun, to rise to great heights and to crash against the shore with an ecstatic joy, knowing that its true nature is indestructible and limitless. You, with your name, your history, your fears, and your longings are the wave, and consciousness, life, being, God, the source, the word does not matter, is the ocean. Your spiritual search, however noble it may have been, has been the touching but mistaken attempt of a wave to find the ocean. You have been looking outside of yourself, in books, in teachers, in peak experiences, for that which is your own essence. You have been trying to acquire the qualities of consciousness, peace, love, wisdom, creativity, without realizing that you cannot acquire what you already are. It is like a wave trying to acquire the quality of being wet. The root of all searching is the belief in separation, and that separation is an illusion, a story that the mind tells itself, a trick of perspective. You are not a drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean in a drop. The end of the search does not come when you find a final answer. It comes when the seeker, that sense of a separate and lacking I, dissolves in the understanding of its true nature. It's not that you find consciousness. It's that consciousness awakens from the dream of being just you. Practice, feeling the truth of the ocean. This truth cannot be fully understood by the logical mind. It must be felt, experienced. The following exercises are invitations for you to have a glimpse, a taste, of your own oceanic nature. Exercise 1. The Dissolution Meditation. Find a quiet place. Sit comfortably and close your eyes. Step A. Feel your body. Bring your attention to the sensations of your body. Feel the contact of your clothes on your skin, the weight of your body in the chair, the temperature of the air. We normally experience our body as a solid and separate entity. Step B. Feel the energy. Now, bring your attention to a more subtle level. Try to feel the sensation of life, of energy, vibrating in your hands. It might be a tingling, a warmth, a pulsation. Keep your attention there. Step C. Dissolve the boundaries. With your attention on that feeling of energy, begin to ask yourself, where exactly does my hand end and the air around it begin? Is there a hard and defined line, or is there a gradual transition, a field of energy that extends beyond my skin? Play with this idea. Imagine that the energy of your hands merges with the energy of the room. Step D. Expand. Now, expand this sensation to your entire body. Feel yourself not as a solid object, but as a vibrant cloud of energy. And then, imagine that this cloud expands beyond your skin, merging with the energy of the room, of the building, of the city, of the planet. For a moment, stop being a wave and feel the immensity of being the ocean. Do not try to force it. Simply relax into the possibility. Exercise 2. The Mirror of Consciousness. This is a practice for your daily life. The next time you interact with another person, a loved one, a colleague, the cashier at the supermarket, do a little experiment. For 3 seconds, stop paying attention to the story you have about that person, their role, their personality, what you want from them. Instead, look directly into their eyes and search, beyond the form, for the spark of life. Look for the silent consciousness that is looking through those eyes. And in that instant, recognize that the same consciousness, the same silent presence that is looking through their eyes, is the one that is looking through yours. In that moment of recognition, the illusion of separation vanishes. There are not two people. There is only consciousness recognizing itself. This practice, performed frequently, will radically transform your relationships, dissolving judgment and opening a space for true connection. Chapter 3. The test you have already passed, the silent arrival. The wave on its journey across the surface of the vast ocean has been searching for a way to unite with it. It has struggled, it has meditated, it has yearned. It believed it had to pass a final test, a heroic initiation, to be worthy of the immensity. And now I speak to you, the conscious wave. There is something I must tell you. Yes, there was a final test, one last door to cross. And the news that changes everything, is this. You have already crossed it. You have already passed the test. And the most amazing thing of all is that you did it without realizing it. The final test was not to master a manifestation technique. It was not to reach a state of perfectly high vibration. It was not to heal every last one of your wounds. It was not to accumulate more spiritual knowledge. The final test was simply exhaustion. The test was the weariness of the search. The test was the deep and honest fatigue you felt upon realizing that, despite all your efforts, you still felt incomplete. The test was your willingness to admit, perhaps in a moment of silent desperation, that you didn't know how to go on, that none of the formulas had given you the lasting peace they had promised. In that moment of surrender, in that instant when, perhaps unknowingly, you stopped fighting, you passed. Because in that moment, you did the only thing that truly mattered. You stopped trying to be a better wave, and for an instant, you simply were the ocean. The fact that you are here, listening to these words, is not a coincidence. It is a synchronicity. It is the echo in the outer world of a graduation that has already occurred within you. You have reached a point in your journey where you are ready to hear this truth, not as an intellectual concept, but as a deep recognition of your own state. Perhaps you have already noticed the signs, small, subtle changes in how you experience life. Perhaps you have noticed that synchronicities, those meaningful coincidences, have begun to occur more frequently, but without you looking for them. They appear like little winks from the universe, as if life were playing with you. Perhaps you have experienced moments of unexpected and causeless peace, moments when, for no apparent reason, the usual anxiety simply dissolves and you find yourself in a state of calm and presence. Perhaps you have noticed that the problems that would have previously sent you into a panic, you now observe with a strange calm, with a silent confidence that somehow they will be resolved. Or perhaps, the most subtle change of all, you have realized that the seeker, that anxious inner voice that was always pushing you to be more and do more, has become a little quieter. These are not signs that you are getting closer to the goal. They are the signs that you have already crossed the finish line. You have entered a new phase of your existence. You have moved from the phase of searching to the phase of being. In the searching phase, your energy was focused outward. You were looking for answers, techniques, validation, experiences. Your question was, what do I have to do to get there? In the being phase, your energy settles in your own center. You stop looking for answers and you start to embody the question. Your new question, if you can even call it that, is, if I am already the consciousness I was seeking, how does that consciousness express itself through this form in this moment? This is not a subtle difference. It is a Copernican revolution in how you experience reality. Manifestation, for example, changes completely. In the searching phase, you were trying to use consciousness as a tool to get things. It was a transaction. If I meditate enough, I will get the money, the partner, the health. It was an effort by the I, the wave, to manipulate the universe, the ocean, for its own benefit. In the being phase, you realize that you are not separate from the universe. Your desires are no longer the whims of a lacking ego. They are the impulses of the ocean itself wishing to experience itself through your unique form. The desire to create art is not your desire. It is universal creativity wanting to express itself through you. The desire for a deep relationship is not your need. It is universal love wanting to recognize itself through two forms. When you align with this truth, the struggle to manifest disappears. You stop trying to attract things from a place of lack. You simply become an open channel and allow the abundance of the universe to flow through you in the way that is natural for it. Creation becomes a game, not a war. Practice, acknowledging your new territory. This practice is about anchoring this new awareness in your daily life. It is about starting to live from the answer, not from the question. Exercise 1. The Arrival Journal. I propose a new type of journal for you. Instead of a journal where you note your problems and your attempts to solve them, you are going to start a journal of evidence. Every day, your only task is to note at least one piece of evidence, however small, that you are already operating from this new state of being. Did you have a moment of unexpected peace? Write it down. Did a small synchronicity occur? Write it down. Did you respond to a stressful situation with more calm than usual? Write it down. Did you feel a wave of gratitude for no apparent reason? Write it down. This exercise rewires your mind. Instead of looking for proof that you are still lacking something, you train it to look for proof that you are already whole. You are building an irrefutable case for your own divinity. Exercise 2. The Embodiment Question. This is the only question you need from now on. When you face any situation, instead of asking yourself, "What should I do to solve this?" ask yourself this much more powerful question. How would the version of me that knows they are already whole, wise, and safe act right here, right now? This question instantly takes you out of the identity of the frightened wave and places you in the vast and tranquil consciousness of the ocean. You don't have to think about the answer. By asking the question, the answer will manifest as a natural, calm, and wise action that will arise from you effortlessly. Exercise 3. The Silent Celebration. Throughout the day, take micro-moments to acknowledge your new state. When you realize you are at peace, pause. Feel that peace in your body, and say inwardly with a smile, "Ah, here it is. This is it." Do not try to hold on to it. Do not try to analyze it. Simply acknowledge it. This simple act of recognition is like watering a plant. It strengthens the neural connection to this state, making it more and more your natural way of being. You have been on a long journey. You have climbed mountains and crossed deserts in your mind. And now, at last, you have come home. You have arrived at the place you never left. The search is over. Now, the real adventure, that of living from this truth, not as a belief but as an embodied experience, has just begun. Chapter 4. I am, what your natural state feels like. At first, it can feel strange, even disconcerting. For so long, your identity has been intertwined with that of the seeker. Your life was organized around the next spiritual goal, the next book, the next technique that would, at last, give you the answer. The seeker, with its drama, its struggles, and its noble aspirations, was the protagonist of your story. And now, that character has left the stage. The drama is over. The struggle has ceased. And in its place, often, the first thing one experiences is a kind of emptiness, a silence. Our mind, addicted to the noise of the search, may interpret this silence as boredom, or as if something is missing. But I invite you to stay in this space, to become familiar with it, because this silence is not a void of lack. It is the void of fullness. It is the silence that precedes the most beautiful music. It is the calm that settles after the storm. Your first task in this new world is not to do anything, but to learn to rest in it. As you become familiar with this silence, you will begin to notice the subtle yet unmistakable qualities of your natural state. They are not spectacular achievements, but profound changes in the texture of your experience. The first quality is causeless peace. Throughout your search, you have probably experienced moments of peace, but it was a conditional peace. You felt peace because you had a good meditation, because you had received good news, because the circumstances of your life were temporarily in order. It was a peace that depended on an external cause. The peace of your natural state is radically different. It is a causeless peace. It depends on nothing. It is simply there. It is the silent wallpaper of your consciousness. It is the quiet hum that underlies all the noise of life. The storms on the surface of your life may continue to come, the challenges, the emotions, the thoughts, but you are now aware of the deep, imperturbable ocean that lies beneath the waves. You no longer identify with the wave, but with the ocean. This peace is not an emotion that comes and goes. It is the recognition of your own unchanging nature. The second quality is freedom from the personal I. The character of the seeker, the ego, took itself very seriously. Its story, its wounds, its achievements, and its failures were the center of the universe. Living in the natural state brings with it a wonderful lightness. The I does not disappear, but your total identification with it loosens. It becomes transparent. You begin to take yourself less seriously. The opinions of others, both praise and criticism, lose their power over you. They no longer inflate you or bring you down, because your sense of being no longer depends on that external validation. You are like the actor who knows they are playing a role in a play. They play their part with dedication and passion, but deep down, they never forget that their true identity is the actor, not the character. This understanding gives you an immense freedom to play on the stage of life, to take risks, to love, to fail, with a new sense of grace and detachment. The third quality is a deep trust in the unfolding of life. The seeker's mind lives in a state of anxiety and control. It tries to plan every step, foresee every outcome, manage every risk. It lives in the future, trying to secure its happiness. By resting in your natural state, this need for control dissolves and is replaced by a somatic trust, a trust that is felt in the body. It is not an intellectual belief that everything will be okay. It is a deep sense that you are being held by an intelligence much greater than that of your little ego. You stop seeing life as a problem to be solved and begin to see it as a mystery that unfolds. This does not make you passive. On the contrary, it allows you to act in the world with much greater audacity and effectiveness because you are no longer paralyzed by the fear of the outcome. You know that whatever the result, you will be fine because your peace does not depend on it. The fourth quality is the end of judgment. The seeker is inherently a judge. They constantly judge themselves. I'm not good enough, I need to improve. And by extension, they judge others. They live in a world of comparison, of spiritual hierarchies, of right and wrong. When you realize that you are the consciousness you are seeking, judgment vanishes. How could you judge yourself if you are already whole? And by stopping the judgment of yourself, you naturally stop judging others. You begin to see, beyond their personalities and their actions, the same consciousness, the same being that you are. Irritation turns into compassion. Criticism turns into recognition. You realize that we are all waves of the same ocean, each dancing its own unique dance. And the fifth quality is a silent joy. The seeker's joy is loud and dependent on peak experiences, the joy of an achievement, of a peak experience, of a revelation. The joy of your natural state is different. It is silent. It is subtle. It is the simple joy of being. It is the pleasure found in the act of breathing, in the feeling of the sun on your skin, in the color of a leaf, in the sound of the rain. Life itself, in its most ordinary manifestation, reveals itself as a miracle. Your happiness stops depending on what life gives you, and you find it in the simple and profound miracle of being alive to experience it. Practice, anchoring your natural state. These exercises are not intended to achieve this state. You are already in it. Their purpose is to help you recognize it and anchor your attention in it until it becomes your lived reality. Exercise 1. The Peace Hunt. Your only task for today is to become a peace hunter. You don't have to create it. You just have to find it. Several times throughout the day, in the midst of your activities, pause for 10 seconds. Stop. And ask yourself this inner question. Is peace here, right now, underneath all my thoughts? Sometimes the answer will be no. The storm of thoughts will be too loud. And that's okay. Do not fight it. But you will be surprised how many times, if you look carefully, you will discover that a background of calm and silence was already present, patiently waiting to be noticed. This exercise trains you to recognize what is already here. Exercise 2. The I Am Journal. At the end of the day, in your journal, you are going to rewrite the story of your identity. Instead of focusing on the problems you had, you will focus on the moments when you recognized your true nature. Complete these sentences. Today, I recognized that I am the peace I felt when... Describe the moment. Today, I recognized that I am the trust that arose when... Describe the moment. Today, I recognize that I am the silent joy I noticed when... Describe the moment. This practice actively rewires your sense of identity. You stop identifying with the passing states of the mind, anxiety, frustration, and begin to identify with the underlying consciousness, which is your true home. Exercise 3. The Who Am I? Question. This is one of the oldest and most powerful self-inquiry practices. Sit in silence for 5 or 10 minutes. Close your eyes. And then gently pose the question to your inner self. Who am I? Do not look for an answer in words. Your logical mind will rush to offer you labels. I am a parent. I am a professional. I am my body. I am my thoughts. To each of these answers that arises, calmly ask again, who is aware of that? Who is aware of being a parent? Who is aware of having a body? Who is aware of these thoughts? The question is not designed to be answered. but to dissolve the asker. It guides you beyond all labels, beyond the character, toward consciousness itself, the silent witness of all experience. That witness, that silent and conscious presence, is who you really are. Your natural state is not something you must build, achieve, or deserve. It is your default state, which has been temporarily covered by the clouds of conditioning and the search. Your work is not to add anything to yourself. It is simply to allow everything that is not real to fade away on its own. You are not the wave. You are not the storm. You are the ocean. You are the sky. You are the silence in which everything happens. When you inhabit this natural state of being, your relationship with the world is transformed. Problems are no longer enemies to be conquered, but mirrors that invite you to a deeper understanding. In the next chapter, we will explore how to see the world not as an obstacle, but as a perfect reflection of your own consciousness. Chapter 5. The world as a mirror. Reality is your reflection. Inhabiting your natural state of being is an inner revolution. It is finding a peace that does not depend on circumstances, but inevitably you open your eyes and you encounter the world. A world that seems to be out there, separate from you, often in contradiction with your inner peace. A world full of problems to solve, of difficult people, of circumstances that seem to be beyond your control. The seeker's mind, even after having glimpsed its true nature, often relapses into its old habit. It sees the world as a battlefield, as a series of obstacles it must overcome to finally be able to rest in peace. It struggles to change circumstances, to fix people, to control external reality, so that it finally aligns with the calm it feels within. But this is the last and most subtle trap of the search. The radical truth, the one that completely frees you from the game of struggle, is this. The world you experience is not an objective and independent reality. It is a mirror, a perfect, flawless, and unfiltered mirror of your own state of consciousness. You do not react to an objective world. The world you see is already a reaction to you. This idea is perhaps the most difficult for the logical mind to accept, which has been trained to believe in a strict separation between the observer and the observed. But it is the core of the mystical wisdom of all traditions. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. Your external reality is a holographic reflection of your inner vibration. Imagine that your state of being, the sum total of your subconscious beliefs and your habitual feelings, is a tuning fork that vibrates at a specific frequency. The universe, which is a field of infinite potentiality, has no choice but to organize matter, people, and circumstances around you to resonate with that frequency you are emitting. If your internal tuning fork vibrates with the frequency of lack and the belief that there is never enough, the universe will present you with a perfect mirror of that vibration. Unexpected bills, opportunities that vanish, the constant feeling that you can't make ends meet. If your tuning fork vibrates with the frequency of conflict and the belief that life is a struggle, the universe will present you with a mirror of that vibration. Arguments with your partner, an authoritarian boss, endless traffic jams. From a psychological perspective, this phenomenon is known as projection. The world is a blank screen, and your subconscious mind is the projector. The villains, the monsters, and the problems you see on the screen are often projections of the unrecognized parts of yourself. Your own repressed anger presents itself to you as a world full of angry people. Your own self-criticism presents itself to you as a world full of people who judge you. Seeing life this way is the ultimate paradigm shift. It pulls you completely out of the victim role. You can no longer blame the economy, your boss, or your partner for your life experience. The world is not the cause. It is the diagnosis. It is the most honest feedback system you will ever have, showing you, moment by moment, what your true vibrational state is. When you accept this, problems stop being enemies to be conquered. They become teachers, sacred messengers. Every challenge, every person who emotionally triggers you is an arrow pointing directly to a limiting belief or an unhealed emotion within you. If you experience a constant lack of money, love, or opportunities, the mirror is inviting you to stop looking outside and to start cultivating an inner state of wholeness and worthiness. If you experience constant conflict in your relationships, the mirror is asking you to find peace within yourself, to heal the war you are waging against yourself. If you experience stagnation, boredom, and the feeling that nothing ever changes, the mirror is reflecting an internal fear of change, a resistance to letting go of the known. If you experience chaos and disorder, the mirror is reflecting a scattered mental state and a lack of inner clarity. The invitation is radical. Stop trying to clean the reflection in the mirror. Clean the source of the reflection. Work on yourself. Practice cleaning your inner mirror. These exercises are designed to help you shift from reacting to the reflection to working with the source. Exercise 1. The mirror diagnosis. This is an exercise of radical honesty. Choose the most persistent and frustrating problem or external circumstance in your life right now. It could be a work situation, a relationship dynamic, a health issue, whatever it may be. Now, take your journal. Instead of describing the situation as an external problem that is happening to you, you are going to reframe it. Complete this sentence. If this external situation were a perfect mirror of my inner state, what would it be reflecting about my unconscious beliefs, feelings, or vibrations? Be a detective of your own soul. For example, if my boss, who never acknowledges my work, were a mirror, he would be reflecting my own deep belief that my work is not valuable enough. Or, if my constant lack of time were a mirror, it would be reflecting my belief that I have to always be busy to be worthy, and my fear of silence and stillness. This reframing is the first step to taking your power back from the external world and bringing it back home, to the only place where you can affect real change, your inner self. Exercise 2. The transformative question. This is your tool to use in real time, in the heat of the battle of daily life. The next time you find yourself in a difficult situation or interacting with a person who challenges you, and you feel the surge of a negative emotion, anger, frustration, fear, pause internally. The ego's automatic question is, why is this person's situation doing this to me? It is the victim's question. Your new job is to instantly replace it with a transformative question. What is it in me that is experiencing this situation in this way? What belief or wound within me is being activated by this mirror? This question changes everything. It takes you out of the blame game and places you in the seat of power. It turns you from a reactor into a conscious observer. It may not change the external situation immediately, but it radically changes your experience of it, and that is the only freedom that exists. Exercise 3. Blessing the reflection. This is an advanced practice, an act of emotional alchemy. Think of that person or situation that challenges you the most, the one that represents your biggest problem. Find a calm moment. Close your eyes. Bring that person or situation to your mind. And instead of feeling the usual surge of resistance, anger, or resentment, do something radical. Send it a wave of acceptance and goodwill. You do not have to approve of their behavior. You do not have to agree with the situation. You simply bless it for being such a clear mirror. You say inwardly, I see you. I recognize that you are a messenger, a teacher who is showing me a part of me that needs to heal. And for that lesson, I thank you. This act of blessing the reflection is like pouring water on the fire of your own reactivity. It neutralizes the emotional charge. And when the emotional charge is neutralized, a miracle often occurs. The reflection in the mirror, no longer having a source of energy to respond to, either changes its behavior or it fades from your reality. You cease to be the victim of a hostile and random world and become the artist who paints their reality from the canvas of their own consciousness. Problems are no longer obstacles in your path. They are the brushstrokes of contrast that show you where your masterpiece needs more light. The supreme power is realizing that to change your world, you don't have to change anything out there. You only have to change yourself. When you accept that the world is your mirror, your way of creating a new reality becomes radically different. It is no longer about attracting something you lack from a distant universe. It is simply about radiating from your center the truth of what you already are. Chapter 6. Effortless Manifestation. Creating from Wholeness. It is here that we must be extremely careful, because it is at this point that most spiritual seekers fall into the most subtle trap of all, a trap that perpetuates the very game of seeking that we are trying to escape. The traditional model of manifestation, popularized by the law of attraction, often works like this. First, you identify what you lack. You feel poor, so you desire money. You feel lonely, so you desire a partner. You feel sick, so you desire health. You start from a state of lack. Second, you use a series of techniques, visualizations, affirmations, vision boards, to try to attract that thing you lack toward you, as if trying to pull a distant object with an invisible rope. Sometimes this method works, especially if the belief and emotion are strong, but most of the time, it leads to frustration. Why? Because at its core, this model reinforces the fundamental illusion of separation. It keeps you in the identity of the small, lacking wave, desperately trying to attract a few drops of water from the vast ocean that is outside of it. Every act of attracting is a declaration that, I do not have it. You are trying to fill a void from the outside, an exhausting and ultimately unsatisfying effort. Now that you have passed the test, now that you have recognized that you are the ocean, the entire paradigm is inverted. True manifestation, effortless manifestation, is not an act of attracting, it is an act of emanating. It is not about pulling something toward you. It is about radiating from your center the truth of what you already are. The wave does not need to attract water. Its nature is water. It simply expresses itself as such. When you inhabit your natural state, when you rest in the awareness that you are already complete, whole, and connected to everything, you stop needing anything from the outside. And paradoxically, it is in that precise moment of non-need that the universe begins to reorganize itself around you to reflect the wholeness you are emanating. Creating from wholeness is the secret. You don't try to get abundance so that you can feel abundant. You reverse the order. You cultivate the feeling of abundance within, and then you watch as the world, your faithful mirror, reflects that abundance back to you in the form of money, opportunities, and resources. You don't try to find love to feel loved. You cultivate unconditional love within you, and then you watch as loving relationships appear in your life as a natural echo of your own vibration. The cause is always internal. The effect is always external. The seeker tries to manipulate the effects. The awakened being focuses solely on the cause. The technique for operating from this new paradigm is not a technique of doing, but of being. It is the art of embodying, of living as if. This is not fake it till you make it. Faking it is an act of the ego, a mask. Embodying is an act of the soul. You are not pretending to be something you are not. You are choosing to access a state that already exists as a potentiality within the infinite ocean of consciousness that you are. You are remembering a version of yourself that is already real on the plane of being. The key question that guides this process is not, what do I have to do to get X? The question is, if I were already the person living the reality I desire, how would I feel at this very moment? How would I walk? How would I breathe? What would my internal dialogue be like? What kind of thoughts would a person who lives from security, peace, and abundance have? Your job is not to chase the external result. Your job is to cultivate and inhabit that inner state of being, right now. Practice, embodying your new reality. These exercises are designed to help you move from the idea of attracting to the experience of emanating. Exercise 1. The Desired State Journal. This is an incredibly powerful scripting technique. Choose an area of your life you wish to transform. Take your journal. At the top of the page, write the date, but a future date. It could be 6 months or a year from now. Now you are going to write a journal entry from the perspective of your future self, who is already living that transformed reality. Write in the present tense, as if you are describing your day. Do not focus on material achievements. Focus on the feelings and the state of being. Example, if the desire is prosperity. Dear Diary, today was a day of incredible peace. I woke up feeling immense gratitude for the freedom I have. I spent the morning working on my creative project without any pressure, simply for the pleasure of creating. In the afternoon, I was able to make a generous donation to that cause I care so much about, and the feeling of being able to contribute in that way filled my heart. Anxiety about money seems like a memory from another life. What I feel now is calm, is freedom, is a deep trust in the flow of life. By writing this, you are not just thinking about your desire. You are feeling the emotions of your wish fulfilled and anchoring them in your nervous system through the physical act of writing. You are creating a new blueprint for your subconscious. Exercise 2. The Wholeness Walk. Your body is the anchor of your state of being. You can use it to deliberately embody the quality you desire. The next time you go for a walk, even if it's just for 10 minutes, choose a quality you want to emanate. It could be confidence, peace, or abundance. Now, walk as if you chose confidence, walk with your shoulders back, your head held high, a serene gaze, breathing deeply. Feel the solidity of your feet on the ground, physically embody confidence. If you chose peace, walk slowly. Pay attention to the sounds, the colors, the air on your skin. Let your muscles relax. Embody peace. Your physiology and your psychology are intimately connected. By deliberately changing your posture and your way of moving, you send a powerful message to your brain and your subconscious that this new state is your reality now. Exercise 3. The already is anchor. This is a micro-practice to weave the new state into the moments of your daily life. Choose a simple object you often carry with you, a ring, a stone in your pocket, your watch. This will be your anchor. Every time you consciously touch this object throughout the day, it will be your reminder to, for just 5 seconds, close your eyes and evoke the feeling of your wish fulfilled. You don't need to visualize the full scene. You just need to reconnect with the core emotion, the peace, the gratitude, the freedom. This exercise, repeated several times a day, is like tuning an instrument. You are constantly recalibrating your vibration, reminding your system that your natural state is one of wholeness, not of lack. Effortless manifestation is not a trick to get what you want. It is the natural result of remembering who you are. When you stop feeling like a separate and needy wave and you begin to inhabit your true identity as the whole and abundant ocean, the world has no choice but to reflect that immensity back to you. You cease to be a beggar asking the universe for favors, and you become the sun, which does not need to ask for light, but simply radiates the light it already is. When we learn to create from this place of wholeness, our way of interacting with the world, and especially with others, is completely transformed. People stop being objects to satisfy our needs or threats to our security. Chapter 7. Conscious Relationships. The End of Otherness. The seeker, the wave that feels separate from the ocean, lives relationships from a place of need. They enter them looking for something. Validation, security, wholeness, someone who will at last fill their inner void. They see the other not as a whole being, but as a source. I love you so that you will make me happy. I need you to feel complete. Tell me I am enough because I don't believe it myself. This is the basis of the transactional relationship, that of the ego, and it is a foolproof recipe for suffering, because no other wave, no matter how large and beautiful, can give you the ocean. To ask another person to give you the peace or wholeness that you have not found in yourself is to ask for a miracle they cannot perform. It is an unbearable burden that inevitably leads to disappointment, resentment, and conflict. The story of most relationships is the story of two beggars exchanging their empty bowls. But when you inhabit your natural state, when you know that you are the ocean, the foundation of all your relationships is transformed. You stop entering them to get, and you start doing so to share. You stop looking for someone to complete you, and you realize you are already complete. And from that wholeness, you meet the other in a radically new way. The fundamental principle of a conscious relationship is this: the end of otherness. It is the recognition in the deepest part of your being that the other person is not truly other. Beyond their personality, their body, their history, their unique waveform, their essence is the same as yours. It is the same consciousness, the same being, the same ocean. The other is, literally, yourself in a different form. When you look into another person's eyes and for an instant you are able to see beyond the character and recognize the silent presence looking through them, separation dissolves. In that instant of recognition, judgment becomes impossible. Need vanishes, and the only thing that remains is love, which is not an emotion you feel toward the other, but the recognition of your fundamental unity. From this perspective, relationships stop being a battlefield and become your highest spiritual practice. The other person becomes your teacher, and every interaction, a lesson. The relationship mirror is the clearest and often the most unforgiving of all. The person closest to you is the one who will most accurately reflect the unhealed beliefs and wounds that still reside within you. That little thing your partner does that provokes a disproportionate emotional reaction in you is not, in reality, about them. It is an arrow pointing directly to an unintegrated part of you. The seeker reacts and tries to change the reflection in the mirror, yelling at it, blaming it, trying to polish it. The conscious being understands that the only place they can effect change is at the source of the reflection, within themselves. The three qualities of a conscious relationship. A relationship born from this recognition has three fundamental qualities. Radical acceptance. This is the foundation. It is the practice of allowing the other to be exactly who they are in this moment, without the constant project of trying to improve or fix them. The ego always has a plan for the other. He would be perfect if only he were a little neater, more ambitious, more affectionate. This improvement project, although it disguises itself as love, is a subtle form of violence. It is a constant message of, "You are not enough as you are." Radical acceptance is the act of letting go of that project. It is offering the other the sacred space to be themselves, with their light and their shadows. This does not mean you must tolerate abusive or disrespectful behavior. It means that when faced with traits you don't like, you make a conscious decision. You either accept them as part of the package, or you lovingly decide that this relationship is not for you, but you stop waging the useless war of trying to sculpt the other in the image and likeness of your desires. Communication from being. The ego's communication is a debate. Its goal is to be right, to win the argument, to defend its position. Communication from being is a dialogue. Its only goal is understanding and connection. This manifests in a fundamental change of language. The ego speaks in the language of accusation. "You always do this. You never listen to me." It is a language that builds walls. The being speaks in the language of vulnerability and self-responsibility. I feel sad when this happens. The story I tell myself when you don't look at me is that I don't matter to you. This language, that of I messages, does not attack. It simply reveals your inner world. It is an invitation to empathy, not to defense. It requires the courage to show your wound instead of using it as a weapon. The sacred space. In a conscious relationship, you understand that it's not just you and the other person. There exists a third entity, the space between you. This space is like a garden that you both must tend. You nourish it with presence, putting down the phone and truly listening, with honesty, with kindness, with appreciation. And you pollute it with judgment, criticism, unexpressed resentment, and distraction. The health of the relationship is the health of this sacred space. When a conflict arises, the goal is not for one person to win, but to protect the space so that you can both feel safe in it. Practice, the art of true connection. Exercise. 1. The shared ocean meditation. This is a practice to dissolve the feeling of separation. Sit in silence and think of an important person in your life. It could be someone with whom you have a wonderful relationship or someone with whom you have a conflict. Bring their image to your mind. And now, bring your attention to your own inner self. Feel the consciousness that is here, now, reading these words in your mind. Feel that silent, living presence that is you. Now, with that feeling of your own presence, look again at the image of the other person, and recognize as a fact that the same exact consciousness that is in you is also in them. It is the same life, the same intelligence, looking through a different pair of eyes. Stay with that feeling of underlying unity, beyond your personalities, your histories, your disagreements, the waves. You are the same ocean. This practice, performed frequently, softens the heart and dissolves resentment. Exercise 2. Deep listening. This is the practice of conscious communication in action. In your next important conversation with someone, set a single goal for yourself: to listen. Do not listen to prepare your response. Do not listen to find the flaw in their argument. Do not listen to interrupt. Simply offer the gift of your total and silent presence. Try to listen not only to the words, but also to the emotion underneath. Try to understand their world from their perspective. Observe how the dynamic of the conversation changes. Often, when a person feels truly heard without judgment, their defenses come down, and true communication becomes possible. You will be surprised to discover that many problems resolve themselves when offered the space of deep listening. Exercise 3. The Mirror Journal. This is your tool for transforming conflicts into self-knowledge. The next time someone emotionally triggers you, the next time you feel a surge of anger or pain because of something someone has said or done, pause. If you can, do not react immediately. Later, in the solitude of your journal, describe the event. And then, answer this question with radical honesty. What old belief or wound in me was activated by this person's words or actions? If this person were a perfect mirror, what would they be showing me about myself that I have been unwilling to see? This practice is the antidote to blame. It takes you out of the victim role and gives you back your power. It allows you to use every friction in your relationships as an opportunity to polish your own being. A conscious relationship is not the union of two incomplete halves seeking wholeness in the other. It is the sacred meeting of two whole beings who see, honor, and support each other on their journey of remembrance. The goal is no longer to find the person who will make you happy. The goal is to embody the love and presence that you are, and then to share that emanation with the world. Chapter 8. The End of Doubt, the certainty that needs no proof. Doubt is the final defense mechanism of the ego, of the character that resists dissolving. After an experience of deep peace or an astonishing synchronicity, doubt infiltrates. It whispers with impeccable logic. Do you really believe this? It's too good to be true. It was probably just a coincidence, a good day. Tomorrow, everything will go back to the way it was. Don't get your hopes up. This voice is incredibly persuasive because it uses the language we know best, that of reason, evidence, and skepticism. It questions your deepest experiences, labeling them as unscientific, subjective, emotional. It tries to reduce the ocean you have glimpsed to a mere wave of positive thinking. If you get hooked by this voice, if you enter into a debate with it, you have already lost the battle. Trying to prove the truth of your spiritual experience to your logical mind is like trying to demonstrate the taste of a strawberry to a calculator. They are incommensurable languages. The calculator only understands numbers. The experience is qualitative. Doubt is not an enemy to be conquered with arguments. It is simply a mental habit. It is a thought pattern that your brain has been conditioned to for decades. The only way to transcend it is not by fighting against it, but by learning to relate to it in a completely new way. To do this, we must first understand the anatomy of doubt. Doubt is not a monolithic state. It has two faces. The first is constructive doubt. It is the doubt of the scientist, of the explorer. It is what drives us to question our assumptions, to seek a deeper understanding, to not accept things blindly. This doubt is healthy and necessary. It protects us from credulity and dogmatism. But the doubt we are talking about here, the one that sabotages our awakening, is corrosive doubt. This doubt does not seek the truth. It seeks the security of the old paradigm. It does not want to explore the unknown. It wants to drag us back to the familiar cell of our old beliefs. Its motivation is not curiosity. It is fear. The fear of change, the fear of the unknown, and the ego's fear of losing its position of control. The first step to disarming corrosive doubt is to learn to recognize it. Its signature is always the same. It feels contractive. When the voice of doubt speaks, your body subtly tenses up. You feel a heaviness, a shrinking sensation. It is the signature of fear. In contrast, your inner truth, your silent certainty, always feels expansive. It is a feeling of openness, of lightness, of peace. The work is not to eliminate doubt, but to develop a sensitivity so sharp that, the instant it appears, you can recognize its energetic signature and consciously choose not to follow it down the path of fear. The second step is to understand that doubt and faith are not opposites. We often believe we must have 100% faith for our new consciousness to work. But true faith is not the absence of doubt. True faith is the ability to act despite the doubt. It is having the courage to take the next step on your path, even while the voice of fear is screaming in your ear. Faith is not a feeling, it is an action. And the third step, the most liberating, is to stop identifying with the voice of doubt. You are not the doubt. You are the consciousness that is aware of the doubt. This change of perspective is the key to freedom. Doubt is simply a cloud passing through the sky of your consciousness. Before, you believed you were the cloud. Now you realize you are the sky, and the sky is unaffected by the clouds that pass through it. Practice, anchoring in silent certainty. These exercises are designed to train you in the art of relating to doubt from a place of power and peace. Exercise 1. The thank you for your opinion. This is your immediate response tool for doubt. The next time the voice of doubt appears in your mind with one of its logical and fearful arguments, do not fight it. Do not try to rebut it. Instead, do something radical. Mentally, turn toward that voice, acknowledge its presence, and tell it with a firm kindness and a touch of humor. Thank you for your opinion. I have heard your concern for my safety, but for now, I choose to trust a deeper wisdom. And then, gently, return your attention to the present moment, to your breath, to the task at hand. This act does several things. First, it disidentifies you from the voice. You treat it like a well-intentioned but outdated advisor, not as your own truth. Second, it strips it of all its energy. Doubt feeds on your struggle against it. When you stop fighting, it runs out of fuel and often dissolves on its own. Exercise 2. The evidence of the ocean. Your logical mind loves evidence, so instead of fighting it, let's give it the evidence it needs, but not the kind it expects. Your arrival journal, which we started in a previous chapter, is your book of evidence. Every time doubt tells you this isn't real, your job is to open that journal. Read the entries about your moments of causeless peace. Read about the synchronicities you have experienced. Read about the times you followed your intuition and the result was positive. Don't do it to win the argument against doubt. Do it to remind your nervous system, your entire being, of the feeling of your truth. You are anchoring yourself in real experience, which is infinitely more powerful than any theoretical argument. Exercise 3. The Unchanging Sky Meditation. This meditation trains you to identify with consciousness, not with the content of consciousness. Sit in silence. Close your eyes. Imagine that your mind is a vast blue sky, infinite and serene. This sky is your true nature, pure consciousness. Now observe how thoughts and emotions appear in this sky like clouds. There are light white clouds, happy thoughts, heavy gray clouds, sadness, and sometimes dark and electric storm clouds, anger, fear, doubt. Your only task is to watch these clouds come and go. Do not try to push them away. Do not try to cling to the white ones. Simply be the sky. Notice how no cloud, no matter how large and dark, can harm or stain the sky. The sky is the unchanging space in which everything happens. Identify with the space, not the object. You are the sky, not the clouds. This practice, performed regularly, creates a liberating distance from your thought patterns. Doubt may still appear as a dark cloud, but you no longer believe you are the storm. Silent certainty is not the eradication of doubt. It is the presence of a trust so deep that it can coexist with doubt without being toppled by it. It is the oak that feels the wind, but knows that its roots are deep. You do not need more external proof. The experiences you have already had, the moments of clarity and peace, are your truth. Your job now is not to seek more proof, but to honor what you have already received. By learning to navigate the landscape of doubt, we prepare ourselves for the final step of integration. What does this new consciousness look like in daily life? How does it translate into our actions and our interactions? Chapter 9. The Field Anchor. Your presence is your purpose. Throughout your entire search, purpose was conceived as a grand mission, a heroic feat you had to perform in the world to, at last, feel whole and significant, to build an empire, to write a masterpiece, to save the planet. It was a future-oriented doing, another way of postponing your wholeness. But from the state of being, the very notion of purpose is radically transformed. The revelation is this: your primary and highest purpose in this life is not something you must do. It is something you must be. Your purpose is simply to fully embody the consciousness you have discovered you are. To understand the power of this, imagine the field of human consciousness as a vast ocean. Most of the time, the surface of this ocean is agitated by the waves of fear, anxiety, anger, and unconsciousness. It is a state of chaos and incoherence. A person who has remembered their true nature, who inhabits the silent peace of their being, becomes what we might call a field anchor. Think of an anchor on the seabed. The anchor does not fight against the waves. It does not try to calm the storm. It doesn't do anything. Simply by virtue of its own weight and its connection to the stillness of the depths it is, and by the simple fact of being, it creates a field of stability around it. The waters closest to it calm down. The ships that moor to it find a safe haven in the midst of the storm. You, by inhabiting your natural state, become one of these anchors. Your nervous system, being in a state of coherence and peace, emits a vibrational frequency. This frequency is not a metaphor. It is a biophysical reality that can be measured. And this emission of coherence has a subtle but profound effect on the field around you. We have all experienced this. Have you ever been in a tense meeting and, suddenly, a person enters who radiates such a deep calm that, without them saying a word, the entire atmosphere of the room changes? Have you ever felt an inexplicable peace simply by sitting in silence next to a true spiritual master or your wise grandmother? They were not doing anything to calm you. They were being themselves, and their state, their frequency, was contagious. They were acting as a field anchor. This is your new purpose. Your greatest service to the world is not necessarily what you do, but the quality of the consciousness you bring to what you do. You can build 1,000 orphanages from a place of ego, of stress, and of need for recognition, and the energy you will infuse into the world will be that of struggle and anxiety. Or you can simply listen to a friend with a total, loving, and non-judgmental presence, and that simple act of being a space of peace can be more healing than any grandiose action. When you are a field anchor, your entire life becomes an act of service. In your relationships, your calm presence becomes a safe haven for your loved ones. Without trying, you give them permission to lower their defenses and connect with their own center. You become the space in which others can be themselves. In your work, your clarity and your lack of reactivity can de-escalate conflicts and open the door to creative solutions that were invisible in the midst of panic. You become the calm eye of the hurricane. In public, in the supermarket line or in a traffic jam, your inner state of peace silently radiates, contributing a drop of coherence to the chaotic ocean of collective consciousness. This does not mean you should become passive or stop acting in the world. On the contrary, when your actions are born from this place of being, they become incredibly powerful and effective, because they are no longer driven by the noisy engine of fear, lack, or the need to prove something. They are driven by a clear, intuitive, and appropriate response to the present moment. You stop being a reactor and become a conscious creator. The doing arises effortlessly from the being. Practice, becoming an anchor for the world. The following exercises are not about adding more doings to your life. They are about cultivating the quality of your being in everything you already do. Exercise 1. The Radiation Meditation. This practice teaches you to radiate your state instead of keeping it to yourself. Sit in silence for a few minutes. Connect with that feeling of peace and stillness in your center, whether in your heart, your belly, or your entire field of consciousness. Once you feel that peace, however subtle, change the intention. Instead of simply observing it, imagine that this peace is a warm, soft light. With each exhale, allow this light to radiate gently outward from your center. You don't have to push or send it. Simply release the container. Allow your natural state to expand. Visualize this light peacefully filling the room you are in. Then, allow it to expand further, filling your house, your neighborhood. There is no effort. It is a natural overflowing. This practice trains you to understand that your peace is not just for you. It is a resource you can offer to the world without it costing you anything. Exercise 2. The Silent Service. This is your practice in the laboratory of the world. The next time you are in a crowded public place, public transport, a waiting room, an office, instead of taking refuge in your phone or your thoughts, conduct an experiment. For 5 minutes, become the field anchor. Stop being a character in the scene and become the conscious space that holds it. Anchor your attention in your breath or in the feeling of peace within you. And from that place, simply maintain an open and benevolent presence. Observe the people around you, not with judgment, but with a silent blessing. Do not try to change anything. Do not try to heal anyone. Your only task is to maintain your own frequency of calm. Simply be the peace in the midst of the noise. This is one of the most powerful forms of service that exist, and it is completely invisible. Exercise 3. The Coherent Conversation. Apply this principle to your personal interactions. In your next conversation, especially if it is with someone who is stressed or upset, set one main intention: to maintain your own state of inner peace, no matter what the other person says or does. Become the anchor in the other's emotional storm. Listen deeply without reacting, without defending yourself, without trying to fix it. Offer the gift of your stable and non-reactive presence. You will often discover that your calm allows the other to find their own center. Your coherence invites coherence. Your silent presence is much more healing and useful than any advice you could give. You have been searching for a great purpose to do in the world, a mission that would give you a sense of importance. But the truth is that your highest purpose is not an action you must perform in the future. It is a state you can embody right now. Your presence is your purpose. Your peace is your service. Your consciousness is your gift to the world. By becoming a field anchor, your life ceases to be a series of fragmented actions and becomes a continuous and coherent expression of your true nature. Chapter 10. Prayer in Motion, the Sacred in the Ordinary. You have become a field anchor. You have recognized that your highest purpose is not a grandiose action you must perform, but a state of being you must embody. You radiate peace from your center, and your simple presence has become a silent gift to the world. But the seeker's mind, in its last and most subtle breath, often creates a final duality, one last separation that keeps us, in some way, out of paradise. It is the separation between the spiritual and the ordinary. We create a hierarchy in our lives. We believe that spiritual moments are those we spend on the meditation cushion, on a nature retreat, reading a sacred book, or having a deep conversation. And then there is the rest, real life, work, traffic jams, washing dishes, paying bills, dealing with bureaucracy. We see these activities as mundane, as interruptions to our practice, as obstacles we must endure so that we can at last return to our sacred moments. This is the last illusion we must let go of. The final awakening is not having more spiritual experiences. It is realizing that all experience is spiritual. It is dissolving the boundary between the temple and the supermarket and recognizing that the universe is no more present on a remote mountain than it is in the act of preparing a cup of tea. Life, in its entirety, becomes your practice. Every moment, without exception, is an opportunity to embody the consciousness that you are. Every action, no matter how mundane it may seem, can become a prayer in motion. A prayer in motion is not a religious act. It is not about reciting words. It is the art of infusing every action of your life with the three qualities of awakened consciousness: presence, intention, and gratitude. Presence is the foundation of everything. It is being totally here and now in what you are doing. When you are washing the dishes, you are not mentally planning your next meeting. You feel the warmth of the water, the weight of the plate in your hand, the sound of the sponge. You are completely immersed in the sensory experience of the moment. In this state of presence, the distinction between an important task and an insignificant one vanishes. The what you do becomes secondary to the quality of the consciousness with which you do it. Intention is the sacred why you infuse into the action. You perform each task not as an automaton, but as an act of service or an expression of your being. The intention while washing the dishes can be, I am creating a space of order and calm for my family. The intention when preparing a report can be, I am bringing clarity and value to my colleagues. The intention when listening to a friend is, I am offering a space of love and acceptance. Intention transforms a mechanical task into a purposeful act. And gratitude is the underlying feeling that envelops everything. It is the silent acknowledgement of the miracle of being alive to experience that moment. Gratitude for the water that cleanses. Gratitude for the work that allows you to contribute. Gratitude for the friend who trusts you with their story. When these three qualities, presence, intention, and gratitude, come together, any ordinary action is transfigured. It becomes sacred. Your work ceases to be a way to earn a living and becomes your main monastery, your field of practice. The difficult colleague is no longer an annoyance. They are your teacher of patience. The boring meeting is an opportunity to practice presence. The stressful project is your gym for trust and inner calm. Your work becomes the vehicle through which your consciousness expresses itself and serves the world. Eating ceases to be the mechanical act of refueling. It becomes a communion. As you look at your food, you recognize the incredible web of life that has made this plate possible. The sun, the rain, the earth, the farmer, the transporter, the cook. You feel gratitude for all that energy, and you eat with a presence that nourishes not only your body, but also your soul. Walking, even from your car to the office door, becomes a meditation. With each step, you feel the contact of your feet with the ground. You feel the air on your skin. You observe the world around you without judgment. Every step is an opportunity to anchor yourself in the here and now. Even difficult experiences are transfigured. Physical pain is no longer just an enemy to be eradicated with pills. It becomes an invitation to bring a kind and compassionate presence to that part of your body. Sadness is no longer an emotion to be suppressed. It is a wave of energy that you allow yourself to feel fully, knowing that you are the ocean, not the wave. Every challenge becomes your spiritual practice. To live in this way is the true meaning of to stop searching. You stop searching for peace, connection, or the sacred in special moments or places, because you realize that the essence of it all is available to you in the infinite depth of every ordinary moment. Practice your everyday monastery. These final exercises are designed to help you dissolve the last boundary and to weave the sacred into the fabric of your daily life. Exercise 1. The single task anchor. Choose a completely mundane task that you perform every day. It could be brushing your teeth, taking a shower, making coffee, or washing the dishes. For the next week, commit to performing that single task with total and absolute presence, as if it were the most important meditation practice in the world. No distractions, no music, no podcasts, no reviewing your mental to-do list. Simply immerse yourself in the sensations. If you are brushing your teeth, feel the bristles, the taste of the paste, the movement of your hand. If you are showering, feel the temperature of the water, the smell of the soap, the sound of the droplets. Your goal is to perform this task each day as if it were the first and the last time. This exercise will show you that any activity, however humble, can become a portal to deep presence. Exercise 2. The secret intention. Each morning, choose a single quality of consciousness you want to embody and emanate that day. Not a goal to achieve, but a quality to be. It could be peace, kindness, patience, creativity. Don't tell anyone. Let it be your secret. Hold that intention as a gentle backdrop to all your actions. If your intention is kindness, how do you respond to that frustrating email? How do you greet the delivery person? If your intention is creativity, how do you approach preparing dinner or solving a problem at work? The secret intention infuses your day with a hidden purpose, transforming your actions from automatic reactions to conscious expressions of your being. Exercise 3. The Journal of the Sacred. This is the final evolution of your journal practice. At the end of each day, instead of noting your achievements or problems, answer this question. In what ordinary moment today did I feel or recognize something sacred? Perhaps it was in the way the evening light came through the window. Perhaps it was in the spontaneous laughter of a child on the street. Perhaps it was in the unexpected kindness of a stranger. Perhaps it was in the deep satisfaction of completing a simple task with full attention. Your task is to learn to recognize that miracles are not rare and spectacular events. They are the very texture of ordinary life when looked at with awakened eyes. You have reached the end of the path, and the end of the path is realizing that every step from the beginning has been sacred. There are no spiritual moments and non-spiritual moments. There is only consciousness, experiencing itself in an infinity of forms. Stop searching is not a command that is obeyed once. It is an invitation that is accepted in every moment. Stop searching for peace on the meditation cushion and find it while washing the dishes. Stop searching for love in a perfect partner and emanate it in your interaction with the supermarket cashier. Stop searching for God in a distant temple and feel it in the beating of your own heart. The game is over. The dance begins now on the glorious and ordinary stage of your daily life. Our journey began with the weariness of the seeker, with the thirst of a soul that had walked 1,000 paths in search of an answer. Together, we have dismantled the game you thought you had to win. We have explored the illusion of being a separate wave, only to discover that you have always been the entire ocean. You have realized that you had already passed the final test the moment you surrendered, and that the world is not an obstacle, but a perfect mirror that reflects the beauty of your own being. We have learned to create from wholeness, to connect from unity, to dissolve doubt, and to find the sacred in the heart of the ordinary. And now, here at the end of this path of words, we arrive at the simplest and most liberating revelation. The journey has been a perfect circle. You have traveled to the ends of the universe only to return to the one place you never left, the center of your own being. You have not gained anything you did not already have. You have not become someone you were not already. You have simply let go of the layers of illusion, the stories of lack, and the disguises of the seeker that prevented you from seeing the magnificence of what you have always been, are, and will be. Your journey does not end here. It is now that it truly begins. Your only practice, your only task from this moment on, is to remember. In moments of doubt, of fear, of forgetfulness, when the old story of the seeker tries to seduce you again, simply pause, take a deep breath, and remember the truth that lies beneath all the noise. Welcome home. Welcome to yourself. If this journey back to yourself has resonated in your heart, we invite you to continue this exploration by subscribing to our channel, Path of Knowledge. A like is the signal that tells us you have arrived home with this message. And if you believe these words can be the map someone else is looking for, we encourage you to share them. Thank you for your presence, for your courage, and for listening to the answer you longed for. See you next time.